Hey, what's up, guys? So this was one that I was working on a long while back for one of my characters, a specific character in particular's room. But this character is not part of Booby Room. This is a character that's part of one of my other projects. But the thing is I haven't been able to. I can't mention that project at the moment because I don't have full copyrights to it yet. Only parts of it are copyrighted. Um, but um, but that's about as much as I would like to say about it anyway. Um, so this was a room based on that character. So this is roughly how I go about working on some of my locations and how I go about doing it, or my environments. So I'm using a lot of editing in this video, but I must be sure to emphasize the fact that this was a work through that I had gone through a good while back. So I was quite the novice at this stage. I hadn't had any full use of how to maneuver the camera around the pivot point of an object. So a lot of the like those little movements there was based on that fact, that I didn't know how to, like, as you can see, my focus is slightly off on the object. So if you watch some of my later videos, I'm more focused around the pivot point of the object. Or yeah, maybe the origin of the object. So that was probably a default of mine back in those days. Because this I actually had, I was working on back in, I believe it was, if not 2019, then it could have been 2020. And yeah, this scene is still not completed. Because as you know, and if you don't know, then it's probably good for me to tell you that this is not my main project. This is a secondary project, but if you've heard in any of my previous uploads, my workflow consists of a particular pattern, which is working on things that I need, or working on things in a particular, as I said, routine, which is just taking things off the floor. And I take things off the floor, and then I work on it to a point that I'm satisfied with, and then I put it down so that when I do come back to it later, I either one have developed skills, which obviously now I have, or two, I don't have to start from scratch. So my workflow is already prepped for me, as it were. I've just got to implement a little bit of decors and props here and there to ensure that my work goes through smoothly, which is very motivational as to starting from scratch. So this is roughly how I go about my projects. I might make reference to this environment with Boo Boo Room and some of those characters, but as of now, I'm not 100% sure with at the moment. So here I'm trying to create a desktop that I myself have had. If you watched, I'm not gonna brand it though, but if you've seen my art station, you will see that this scene is actually in there. So I damn near completed it at that time. Um, but obviously for myself now, it's not complete. No, there's a lot more that I need to add and probably update or enhance. So if you check my art station, this is one of the first posts that I have up on there. So if you scroll right down to the bottom, you will see this a picture of the TV section. The camera would be like at the right side of the bed, looking towards the TV or looking towards this monitor, and you'll see the bed. I think you see a bit of the TV. You see the passageway to the side. As you can see, I've dug myself out some pillows. I'm trying to craft a TV monitor so I can put it down on the desk. Yeah, so this will be a very iconic scene within my artwork of my secondary project, which I can't wait to start. The reason why I haven't started that one yet is because I would say my drawing standards is not on par with what I have in my mind. I'm not entirely sure how I want it, and don't get it twisted. I do want it to be more realistic, but my point being is that I want it to have a heavy tune influence scribbled all over it, but not as bad as Boo Boom Room. I'm not sure how I want it. Like, you got the American style of drawing, but I don't think I want it so neat and tucked and trimmed. But like I said, I'm not sure. So it's something that I've got in my mind, and something that I most certainly do want to work on. But as of yet, no, I'm not sure how I want that one to go through. So as you can see here, I'm working on the positioning of my monitor. This is exactly how I had mine placed at a time when I was staying in one of my apartments. So the idea was to go with the exact same design. The funny thing was the apartment that I was in at that time was the apartment that I had thought of for my character. The window was exactly how the window was, the desk and everything how I had it laid out was exactly the same. I was actually quite surprised, and obviously it felt like like a showering gift of inspiration, from descended upon me from a time period beforehand, and then it just kind of slotted in. It's almost like I just had to sketch over a situation in order to get this done. So the reason why I colored the desk at this stage was just so I could see easier with some of the stuff that I was creating, developing, hence why I'm in render mode. But at this stage I'm working on my Windows computer, so I had the energy to spare, and I could work a lot quicker, as you can see, because I've got quite a bit going on in this scene. But if I was on my MacBook, it probably would have been lagging quite a bit at this stage, but here it's like a real free flow, so I can get things done a lot quicker, a lot sharper. But like I said, I was quite the novice at this stage. I had been doing it for a while, but like I said, I hadn't known the shortcuts around the pivot points and all that stuff. So yeah, but it seems like I'm handling myself pretty well at this stage. So I might be incorrect. I didn't see myself snap to any points as of yet, but I seem to be on the points here. So yeah, so the workflow was pretty neat. I was pretty satisfied with this apartment, but believe it or not, when I moved there, it wasn't in the best of conditions. But I wasn't, snobby against the fact, I guess you could say. But I saw the vision, as you would when you go into a property for the first time. And I decided to paint over it in the 3D world and to enhance it the best I could. But I went with the it's not an exact replica of how the property was, but I went with a very, very familiar theme. But I think what I will do when I do update it is I will change it into rather than like a block cube, more like I don't know. I'll think about how it goes, but I want it to be like on a just one ground floor, like a studio apartment, and yeah, something along those lines. Anyway, will I deck the whole thing out? I think I just might, because I want it to be a more immersive, um, um, I guess you could say, anime a project. So I'm gonna put a lot more time. I want to put a lot more time into the animation rather than just sketching over, and like every now and then you see me like pull off like a nice 30 frame by frame animation, or because I don't like really animating on 12 frames per second, because I feel like it's too jumpy. It's way too skitty for the eyes, and I can always see it, and I don't like too much of the chop. Something that I've always said from when I was like really young, when I used to watch, some of the most common and I guess you could say popular animes, and that used to come on European TVs, um, roughly around the time of like 2000, 1999, 2000, to about 2004, 2000, maybe even up to 2010, 2012. Those popular animes within that time frame, they used to animate, or were they in that time frame, or maybe they're just being aired around that time. At least over here, anyway, they had like a real funny way of using frames. Sometimes they're going to like the 12 frames per second, and I could always tell when I was in like the 12 frames per second, it always kind of hurts my eyes, kind of thing. So I always said that I would always try to use higher frame rates. So when I first started animating, I started off using 60 frames per second, but I decided to step away from the 60 frames to move it down to 30 frames, because 60 frames you've really got to put your time in to get like a smooth run, and though I do like it, the consistency can be a bit bothersome. I like it because it helps you to neaten out your lines, both on perspective and both with confidence. Confidence is very important when you're doing line art, 2D, step by step, as to anything else. So yeah, so that's why I did actually like doing 60 FPS per second. I have one animation where I have Jade. She's sitting down. You can see her hair flow, and it's moving in like that 60 frames per second. But yeah, so that was I think I've done a few other animations in 60 frames per second, and obviously when you're working in 60 frames per second, you can always time your frames to work anywhere from 60 frames to 30 frames. You can go 55, 54, you can go 45 to 40, you can go 30 frames per second, 32 frames per second, depending on how your maths are or how you like to time yourself. And also, you can always bump it right the way down to 12 seconds to 8 seconds. So yeah, so that's the benefits that I personally find of working in frame rates 2 or above 30. So yeah, but my preferred time frame rate is 30 frames per second. I'm not necessarily the greatest at the 3 times tables. You gotta know when to add your notes, but yeah, so I prefer the 3 times because I tend to find it easier to work that way. So here you can see me trying to do some intersections on my TV here. It's roughly the design that I had on the property that I was in, and anything else would have been like a starry-eyed situation. And yeah, so pretty darn smoothly, I would say. And this would be one of the speaker boxes. that I was modeling at this time. So it's nice for me to sit down and see how I worked through things at a time, as to how I work through things now, which is pretty darn neat, because I can obviously see my progressions, etc, etc, etc. So here I'm creating the tunnel tube part, and then I'm going to create the disc ray part that it stands on, and then I'll probably work towards duplicating that so I can put it to the other side of the TV, and then I'll probably work on the base box, and then I'll probably scroll around, take a little look here or there, if not add a bit more color, and this should be a blast. I take my time in tackling certain things, because you got to, work on the design. I've got the this. I'm taking a huge reference from this little speaker box here. It's practically damn near a replica, very close to, I should say, a replica, an absolute replica of speaker boxes that I actually have in my room. So I used those as references, obviously kept the title brand name away, and changed a few little bits and bobs here and there to make it roughly like my own. And yeah, so that's practically, I'll go into this mode just so I can see things a bit clearer and easier. Like I said, I wasn't so great with the pivoting at this point, but I'm obviously better at it now, as you see in my recent 3D uploads. Yeah, so I've obviously cut it out quite a bit to this video, so it did take me quite a while to do this, but this is me, obviously, as I said, working in a novice state, because now if I was to create this, I'll create it a lot quicker, but I wasn't against the clock at this time, so I was also just taking my time, and just trying to have as much fun as I could while working on this project. So yeah, so I was having quite a lot of fun, a blast, and yeah, I can't wait to use this scene for my character. I really do want to do like an introduction kind of thing for him, but I'm not sure if that's something I'll be able to do anytime soon, because as you know, my hands are filled with my current project that I'm obviously working on, the promo, and the promo is supposed to lead up to my novel book as well, which I hope to get on Amazon Kindle. So I'll obviously let you guys know when that one's coming about, but as you can see, the progression of my work, how I go about my work, and the time that I put into my work, most importantly, and once I don't know, springtime comes around, when I say springtime, not this season, then I do hope to invest into a little team, literally a team of about 5 or 10, so that I can grow and expand my work just that bit more, and get things done 10 times as fast as to how fast it's moving now. I mean, development speed is relatively neat, but it could always be quicker, it could be a lot smoother, and it doesn't need to be as hard either. And there's benefits to working in a larger team, because I do expect to grow into practically an office size at some stage, but there's a specific reason and cause for that, and if I was to divulge a little bit into what I do hope this to become, I do want to create games for my work as well, mainly consisting of RPGs, at least for Boo Boom Room. So yeah, so that's one of the other specific reasons for, and I would love to invest my time into a financial aspect of my workhood as well. And in due time, they will be things I would like to look out for people of such calibers. So yeah, so these are stuff that I have in my goals book, stuff that I do hope to achieve one day, if not someday soon, and hopefully you guys will be around for that. But I'll most certainly be reaching out beyond my immediate reach, of course. So yeah, so I hope you enjoy seeing my work process, guys, because I surely do, and yeah, I believe we're practically, this is my fridge, roughly how my fridge looked at the time. And funny enough, I kind of kept the same design of the kitchen, so the tabletops, the worktop, so that's my cooker there. I think there was another worktop that goes in the corner over here, so I can put that in when the time's right. And yeah, so you might have seen clips of this on my probably my YouTube, most certainly on my LinkedIn. So I just want to give you guys a more in-depth look as to where I was and what I was dealing with at that time. So I hope you again enjoy my workflow. I'm going to put a picture up there on that wall, and you can see the pillows, the bed. Yeah, it's practically exactly how it was. So I decided to go with it for my character. The picture, I'll probably use one of my boobing room posters to put into this works project. Why? Because I'm so fascinated with boobing room. Yeah, so I hope you do like my workflow. Couldn't state that any more. So yeah, so here I think I'm going to move into the color phase, because there's nothing like a little color to help. I could say dilute, but dilute's like a wash down. But undilute your situation, right? I'm not sure what this is. I'll create the skirting board. But after I do the skirting board, I'll color this wall up a little bit. Yeah, so yeah, as you can see, I have a lot of fun working on my goodies. So obviously, nice loud shout outs to loved ones, friends, and also work mates that because I hear you guys loud and clearly singing out track songs to my work, which sounds neat. Can't wait to get my hands on those. And also the tune shaders in the background, and also the two animators that I have working with me as well. So can't wait to have more of your time, obviously. Sorry to bump away, because I've been working quite solo for the longest, which was not my intention. But still, I give my thanks to you guys. Can't wait to use you guys even more and further to help me with my projects. I hope you enjoy what you see. It's your boy Patience. Leave your likes and your comments and your thumbs down below, guys. It's your boy Patience.
Hard work, your boy, hard work. He puts it